In other industries. I think my audio was messed up there. So welcome everybody to Marketing Stream. My name is Jason Pantana. I am super excited to be with you today. We're going to talk about the latest and greatest marketing trends, answer questions, try to add value in your business in terms of how you're positioning your brand in front of customers and to grow that business. So if you're here with me today and you're watching, just drop your name in the comments, say hi. There's quite a few of you watching right now, so this is exciting. If you have questions, I have a few kind of front-loaded questions. But I want to leave a little bit more time than I do normally to answer maybe some questions that you have. So by all means, if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, please drop a question in the comments, say hi, tag a friend who should be watching, and we're going to dive in, and I'll get into questions in just a second, but it's super good to have everybody back. Let me get my first questions ready. I want a handful of questions I want to go through first. And just to give you a sense of where we're going to go, we'll talk about how do you launch a business in a new market. We're going to talk about really how to leverage hashtags and how to make your Instagram following grow. Then we're going to talk about ideal number of stories and posts per day and how the algorithm on Instagram works. And then last, we'll talk about creating custom audiences on Facebook. How do I upload a list of my database contacts and target past clients, sphere of influence, and those types of folks on Facebook, on Instagram with my ads. So again, it's good to see everybody. I got Karen. What's up, Karen? It's good to see you. Hi, Karen. Great to see you. We're going to have a blast today. Let's get kicked off. And again, if you have a question or a topic that you want me to just kind of vamp and discuss, I would love to give it a shot. Put it in the comments and we'll get to it, all right? First one up. Here's our first question. This one comes from Lauren Gent Realtor, who said, where to start when beginning to build your brand in a new market during COVID? Where do you start? Specifically if you're relocating. And I'm thinking about agents that I know around the country in the US here that have moved from one market to the next, and they were actually more successful in a brand new market. It wasn't as if they were moving home. They went to an entirely new market. And what's behind their success? And I got to tell you, a huge piece of it is agent-to-agent referrals. So let me real quick, as I always do, if this is your first time watching, I'll kind of give you the lay of the land here. I have all my questions answered already. I ask those questions unless you ask one in the comments. Otherwise, I have all the questions answered. And I'll go back after this, after the live gets posted as a replay, I'll go back and I'll add my comments just so you can see the written responses. But here's what I said, and this is just a list of ideas. So Lauren, if you're watching, I would maybe take some notes on this. Some of this stuff's simple, right? Conduct open houses, either in person or virtual, just depending upon what you can and can't do due to the rules of staying at home, sheltering at home with COVID. Just make sure you obey the rules. Work expired, canceled, and for sale by owner listings. That's a huge one. Because if you're moving into a new marketplace, if you have a value proposition or a skill set, there is nothing separating you from any other agent in that space to working expired listings, canceled listings, withdrawn listings, potentially withdrawns, and for sale by owner listings. So I would say, you know what? Cut your teeth and get ready to go after those opportunities. I wrote down, set up every online profile. And this one's critical. Set up every online profile, social media, search portals like Zillow, Realtor, Trulia, referral directories like Fast Expert and Upnest and Homelight. Make sure your profile is everywhere, everywhere. In fact, if you want some ideas, let me share my screen because this one is probably worth getting into. So I'm going to share my screen real fast. If you go to this website here, it's called NameCheck, N-A-M-E-E, or not just NAMECHK.com. You can type in your name like Jason Pantana, and it'll tell you domains and usernames where it's either available or unavailable. So what's cool is if you want to make sure that your naming convention matches across all your social platforms, this is a very nice tool to make sure it all matches and to see what's available or unavailable based upon it. You can check domains that use your, like websites that use your name in it or don't, just to see what's available. And if you have a pretty common name, this is going to be especially useful for you there. So I would check this out. But again, it's more than just all these sites, right? So just real quick, I'll do this one. It'll show you. I'll plug my name in and it will tell you what's available and what's unavailable and all that kind of stuff, right? So go through there. It's free. It's a free tool. So go through there and see if that helps you out. All right, let me get back to the broadcast. We're back to my notes here. So really just those platforms. And I would Google your name and see what comes up, but I would also Google the names of your competition. And I would see what websites they rank on, because it may be that you haven't created a web profile on Movado or some website like that. So I would really do my research and figure out, if I go into a new market, I got to make sure I'm positioned on every major portal, every platform, every social network, that you see my name, my number, my email, my headshot, and everything matches and it's all lined up. Because what that's doing for you is it's actually creating off-page SEO. Off-page SEO means it's by being on all those other websites. When people Google your name, it helps your website rank, it helps you rank, it helps you show up in the search results in a way that connects with potential customers. So I would definitely get all those profiles, social network sites, everything locked and loaded. I would get involved in your local board of realtors, your company office meetings. I would seek out networking groups. I'm just reading my notes here, get plugged in with lenders and vendors and start getting those relationships solidified so that referral opportunities start to come in at some point soon. And then here's a biggie. I would really work your agent-to-agent connections all around the country and internationally. For example, like if you went to Florida, I would let every agent you know, part of your brand network, or if you're a member of like the Tom Ferry ecosystem or different types of groups, I would let those agents know where you are. I would reach out to them on a regular basis through emails, through phone calls, and I would try to make sure that any referral opportunity that's designated for that area where you're doing business, that you are in a position to start getting those referrals. That right there is the secret sauce of how so many agents change from one market to the next. They have a business that is hugely propped up by agent-to-agent referrals incoming from different markets around the country. If you're not working your agent connections and you have thoughts about entering into a new market, I would start taking steps now to really build out your agent network. You're probably undervaluing it. Let me keep reading here. I would remain focused on generating outbound referrals in your old market. So whatever market you're leaving, Lauren, I would be saying, hey, let's make sure that all my past clients, my sphere of influence, that I'm staying in touch to line up those outgoing referral opportunities. I would go all in on video content, market updates, home walkthroughs, behind the scenes, neighborhood tours. I would go all in on video content. That's another trick. When you see an agent leave one market, go to another, that's another trick that's often behind it, is they've got a lot of video content, a lot of social media, and they're able to cut through and really gain influence quickly in a marketplace. Because you have to see it from the perspective of a consumer sometimes too. Like, you assume everybody knows you're not from that new market. But the reality is they may more likely assume this agent, Lauren, may or may not be new to the marketplace. But I could say that of any brand. I may or may not have heard of an agent until suddenly I did hear of that agent, and then all their marketing lines up with me as a consumer, and I'm going to choose to align with them and do business with them. So my point to you is, like, all those profiles, everything needs to be super solid online, so that if I Google your name or if I search for best agents in an area, I'm starting to see you. It's going to be hard to get reviews if you don't have reviews, but I would work cleverly to try to get reviews and start populating those websites. But you got to play that game and you got to make sure you're visible. And I would go all in on video with neighborhood tours, market updates, and so forth. And then I wrote down run ads on Facebook and Instagram, the Google Display Network, which if you don't know what the Google Display Network is, it's like when you go to a website and you start seeing those little pop-up banner ads. Those are powered by Google. I would go to run ads in the Google Display Network to position you all over the place, be everywhere in that marketplace, because at the end of the day, you want to build that context. You want to build familiarity with consumers. If you're new, your objective should be to get rid of that newness as fast as possible by making sure that people see you everywhere and they see you often. And then once the reviews start coming in, circulate those reviews everywhere. Get the word out that you're a trustworthy, competent agent in that new market, and you're going to win. I think a lot of agents kind of operate under the assumption that you can't, you're stuck, you're locked in with wherever you are, but that's really not true. In our Tom Ferry ecosystem, I think of Candace Decker, I think of Ken Pozak, I think of so many agents who have left one market where they were very established and went into an entirely new market where they knew nobody. And it was expired listings, agent-to-agent referrals coming into the new marketplace, and outbound referrals back in the old marketplace, and then doubling, tripling, quadrupling down on video content and being everywhere. Omnipresent business everywhere in front of buyers and sellers in the new marketplace. Those three things alone position them to crush it in the marketplace. It's all about creating a context, familiarity, and trust. All right, so real quick, Zachary, I see your question there about going from a small rural market to a high-end beach market. Let me read that. I want to read that one through just so I can think about it, so we get to it. By the way, Zachary, hello. By the way, Christopher, hello. Anybody else who's watching, hello. I don't know who you are, but if you want to say hi, it's great to talk to you. It's great to see you. Zachary's asking, and I'll get to this one after I get through the front-loaded questions. In the comments, he said, going from a small rural market to a high-end beach market, best advice for how to gain branding share in a higher-end market. And should I change my video style for a higher end market, i.e. shift from 200 to 650,000 average price point? All right, I'm gonna chew on that a little bit. I'm gonna chew on that, but I think it's gonna be a similar answer to what I just gave to Lauren. Just a thought. All right. Ishmael all the way from Pakistan, man. I love this. Dude, this is awesome. What's up, Ishmael? Watching live from Pakistan right now. I'm here in Nashville saying hello, sending you my best. All right, let's get back to the preloaded questions, and then Zachary, I'll circle back to yours, all right? Number 2, this one is from the Steel Realty Group, who asks, how do you reach clients through Instagram? And then part 2, what hashtags actually work? So how do you reach clients through Instagram, and what hashtags work best? Out of the gate, I'm going to answer this question kind of using Occam's razor. The simplest explanation is probably the correct one, which I don't know is really the case here, but I want to just kind of wordplay with you. How do you reach clients through Instagram? I'm going to underline in my head that word clients. If you want to just reach your clients on Instagram, I'm going to state the very obvious right now. Follow them. If they're on Instagram, connect with them first. Now, I'm assuming you've probably done that, but chances are if you haven't, you should start there. Just follow them, engage with their post, comment, heart, share their content, and then ultimately the expectation is they're going to follow you back. Now, time out, because I'm not like one of those follow for a follow back type of Instagram users. I find it to be kind of nauseating, frankly. However, in this case, if you want to build community with these people, with past clients and so forth, then you should connect with them. I would put your hand out first, and they're going to probably meet you and shake hands and all that kind of stuff. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, in terms of truly reaching them, it's going to boil down to your content. I get asked the question a lot by people. Hey, Jason, what's the best way to grow my Instagram following? What's the best way to do that? And you know what? I typically respond and say the best way to grow your Instagram following is to focus intently on the following you already have. If you got 100 followers, make it the best, make it worth their while for those 100 followers. If it's 1,000, make it worth their while. Sure, you can pay for followers or do all that kind of stuff. I'm against it. I think it looks bad in the eyes of Instagram. Don't promote it. However, if you really want to grow your following organically and for that following to mean something, create content that's worth following. If you're wondering what kind of content should I make that's worth following, I would simply ask the question, like this is sort of a philosophical question I would ask yourself. But I would ask the question, why do people hire me? End of story. There's a lot of agents, I'm assuming, in my marketplace. Why do people hire me? And whatever answers, like I write it down, whatever answers start to come to mind, that's the content you've got to make. So if you want to get a bigger following, it boils down to you got to produce valuable content. What is valuable content? It could be videos, photos, whatever, but it ultimately stems from answering the questions. Why do people hire me? They hire you because you make showing properties and buying houses fun. Great, then be fun. Be yourself on social. They hire you because you're super knowledgeable about the marketplace. You have the inner scoop on everything. Fine. Demonstrate that value proposition in the content you create on social media. At the end of the day, your content is what grows your following, because if people see that and they see the value, A, the people who are following you will talk about it and share it, which will naturally spread that message. And B, other people are going to want to subscribe or follow because they see the value in that. Now, as for hashtags, I've said it many times before. I believe that in terms of optimizations that you can make on a post on Instagram or Facebook or anything like that, hashtags are one of the best ways to reach a following that you aren't otherwise already reaching. For me personally, and it varies post to post, but I find that hashtags can expose me in some cases. When I look at the impressions, that is how many people saw my post, sometimes it will say that hashtags are essentially responsible for half the views. Now that's big, right? That means half the people who saw my post saw it, not every time, just sometimes. But that means they saw it because of the hashtags, not just because they were following me, right? And so I would say hashtags are a tremendous tool to expose your post to a larger audience. But at the end of the day, you can use the right hashtags. If the content isn't great, then it's not going to go anywhere. If the content is naturally good content, meaning it adds value, it addresses people's problems and solves them and so forth, then those hashtags are going to be accelerating it. They're a supplement, not a fix per se. However, when it comes to hashtags, I would do a couple of things. One, I would go stalking my competition. Who are the people you want to be like? What are the best Instagram influencers in the industry, in your space, in your market and outside your market? And I would come through and like, what hashtags are they using? What works for them? So forth. Because ultimately, if it's working for them, it could probably work for you too. So I would basically rip off and duplicate from influencers. And then I want to direct you to a couple of posts. I've done a couple of posts on hashtags. Here's one of them. And I'll put this link right there. I'll put it in the show notes when we're done. But I talked about hashtag hacking. On Instagram, you get up to 30 hashtags. I gave you 6 buckets: trending, locational, descriptive, interest-based, intent-based, and branded. And I defined what all those terms are right down here. There's also, so you can look at this and get an idea. I also gave some tips, like number 1, don't copy and paste your hashtags. That's considered a spamming technique, and Instagram may basically say, no hashtag for you, right? Nothing, you use the hashtag, it's going to be worth nothing, because they're trying to protect the integrity of these hashtags, because this is one of the key ways people are searching for new content on Instagram. So if they think that you're engaging in any type of a behavior that could be, perceived as spamming, like using the wrong hashtags, that kind of stuff, they'll just kind of silence the hashtag, which isn't really the reputation you want in terms of the quality of your account with Instagram. So a couple of things: don't copy and paste hashtags. Don't keep using the same hashtags every single post in the exact same order. Mix it up a little bit. You can use up to 30 hashtags. You don't have to use up to 30 hashtags. Just keep it feeling organic. And then also make sure that you don't use a hashtag that is not related to your post. If it doesn't describe your post, don't use it. There's more details in this post right here, so check it out. And then also, I did a post, this one just popped in my head. I did it a long time ago. Scroll. I'm looking for something here on my Instagram, which is Jason Pantana. Where did I do it? I think I passed it. Here it is. It says, what are the best hashtags for real estate agents? Would you please share in a comment below? And look, there's like 48 comments. So I would just literally scroll through all the comments and see what everybody's saying they're using in terms of hashtags. What works? This is a resource for you. It's on my Instagram, which is Jason Pantana. Connect with me right there. All right, let's get back to the next question. Next question comes from Jason Bendbroker. What's the ideal amount of stories and posts per day on Instagram? So what's the ideal amount of stories and posts per day on Instagram? Let's talk stories first. The answer is there's really not a limit. I mean, I think you get like 100 stories a day, technically, but really, for all intents and purposes, there's really no limit with stories. Now, there are some tips with stories. I would recommend that with stories, you don't do them only one time a day. I would add to your stories periodically throughout the day. Reason for that is simple. It's going to keep people, it's going to refresh you so people keep coming back to you and seeing your stories as you add to them. Versus if you just posted, like maybe you did like 8 stories, but it's, oh, I'm going to batch out for the whole day and I do them all at the same time. People are only going to see that you've got a new story once. Versus if you were doing it those 8 times throughout the day, every time you add, you're going to slide back to the top of the list, mostly, where people have a greater likelihood of seeing you, which means you'll get a higher number of total views, which reinforces the algorithm to work to your benefit. I would also say with stories, try doing like longer stories, meaning I'm going to add stories all through the day, but maybe don't do just one story at a time. Maybe do like 2 or 3 stories at a time. Maybe it's a video and it automatically chops that video into 15-second installments. And the reason for that is because chances are, like, let's say you did a 45-second video or a 60-second video and you posted it in stories. Well, that's going to equal 4 different stories, 0 to 15, 15 to 30, 30 to 45, 40 to 60 seconds. It's going to chop it into 15-second chunks. And naturally, what people are going to do is keep watching the next story, which is going to then keep training the algorithm, oh, this person's adding good content, because people keep watching the stories consecutively. So again, post your story. There's no limit. Do it all day. Don't think about it too much. Have fun with stories. When I teach social media marketing, I don't spend a lot of time talking about stories because I don't really want them to feel contrived. I'd rather for your stories to just be whatever you want. Don't overthink it. If you feel like posting it, post it. It only lasts for 24 hours. Just let it be. But do it throughout the day, and try when you do it throughout the day, doing more than one at a time, but throughout the day. So you can get people to reinforce watching more than one at a time, which really boosts what Instagram's looking for in terms of when you do posts. Because your Instagram stories, believe it or not, they're kind of like, if you've ever done made a fire in a fireplace, they're kind of like throwing some kindling wood into the fireplace. The logs would be representative of your posts, but if you throw those Instagram stories in there, you keep that fire roaring and going. And so when people keep watching your stories, what Instagram is getting from that is this person makes good content. Therefore, when they post, either post or stories, show it to the widest number of people possible because they have a historic track record of making good content. So that's my 10 cents on stories. With posts, it's easy to overpost. Don't overpost. I typically recommend doing 1 post a day. If you can't do it every day, all right, fill it in with stories. Like, truth is, I don't post every day. It really boils down to how big is your audience. At the end of the day, it's kind of supply and demand. With posting, your goal is I've got to supply Instagram with content from me to reach my followers. So the bigger my following, the more content I got to give Instagram. But if my following is kind of small and I give them too much, I'm going to end up cannibalizing against my own post. Like, so for example, if I have like 1,000 followers on Instagram and I do 3 posts in one day, Instagram's going to be scratching their head and being like, okay, I can't show 3 of your posts in one day to 1,000 people because I'm going to be saturating them. But if you had 10,000 people or 100,000 people, well, then 3's fine because I've got a wide enough audience that I'll just throw this one over here to these folks and these folks and these folks. Tom Ferry, for instance, has well over 100,000 followers. That's why he posts so much. But for most people, if you post too much, you're going to end up actually hurting the potential reach of each of your respective posts. So for most people, once a day is ideal. Now, as far as the feed is concerned in Instagram, both Instagram and Facebook are essentially 24-hour news feeds or news cycles. In other words, when you post, your post is never going to be more attractive and is never going to reach as many people versus when it's first shared because it's new. And because it's new, that makes it more relevant and recent in the eyes of most people scrolling through the feed, right? So you get about, now I'm not saying you don't get likes 36 or 48 or 72 hours later. You might. But I am suggesting to you right out of the gate is when it's the best, which is why hashtags matter too, because really I think that first hour is critical for a post. Instagram's making a determination. In that first hour, they're either asking, does this post cut it or doesn't it? If it's an awesome post, then they're going to say, okay, this is great content, show it to a lot of people. Maybe go beyond what we normally go, show it to more people, see if they like it, see if they comment on it. And if they engage with that post, then Instagram's like, keep going, put it in the explore feed, show it to more people, give them more juice on the hashtags. Because end of day, what Instagram wants people to react to your posts. They want comments, they want hearts when they're applicable, but really they want conversation started, shares and so forth. So in that first hour, you got to get that thing flowing. So look back to the question, what's the ideal number of stories? Don't limit it, but do it throughout the day. And if you do it throughout the day, rather when you do it throughout the day, try to do like little batches where there's a few at a time to try to train me, the viewer, to watch more than one story in each sitting. That helps you in the algorithm. As far as posts go, unless you've got a really big following, which if you do, either you paid for it or you earned it. If you earned it, you already know this. Otherwise, one post a day is about right. About one per day. If it's every 2 or 3 days, that's fine too. If you let too much time lapse between when you post, you're going to start kind of like an airplane. If you cut the engines off, it's going to start to glide and lose altitude. So in that same respect, if you put too much time in between when you post on Instagram, that algorithm is going to start to lose confidence in you. And so when you post again, it's going to be harder to get it going. Like, let's go back to that fireplace analogy. If the fire gets really, really low and you throw a new log on, it's going to be hard to get that log to catch. But if you keep throwing the kindling wood on and keep the logs rolling, keep that fire burning through stories and post, that log's going to light up really fast, really fast. I hope that helps. I think that answers the question with a number. How many analogies? Anybody count? How many analogies did I use? Fire, airplanes. What else did I use in that explanation? Last one, then I'm going to go to the comments. If you have a question and you want me to answer it on this session of Marketing Stream, just put it in the comments, and I'll circle back to it, and I'll try to answer it. I'll do my very best. All right, last one on my notes today. How do I target clients online with a Facebook target list block? Ken Pozak. Let's read that again. How do I target my clients online with Facebook's target list block? So I think I'm misreading the language here, Ken. So technically a list block in Facebook is, I think we're meaning two different things. Technically the words a list block generally refers to, I can say, hey Facebook, when you're running my ads, I'm going to upload a list of websites that I do not want my ads to show up on. It's called a block list. So for example, don't put my ads on Tinder. Don't put my ads on these places, because whether or not you know this, when you're running ads through Facebook's ads manager, Facebook can display your ads on Facebook, on Instagram, on Facebook Messenger, and it can also display your ads in a thing called the Audience Network. Audience Network means various websites. It's kind of like the Google Display Network. Google Display Network's the biggest place of those banner and display ads all around the web. But believe it or not, the Audience Network can work too. So you could show up on a website, some random website, depending upon your targeting and so forth. And a block list generally means don't put me on these websites. But what I think you're talking about is what's called a customer list. And a customer list is a type of custom audience whereby you can upload kind of a CSV file, that is an Excel spreadsheet of all your database contacts. So I can have like a row, column 1 or column A is their first name. Column B is their last name. Column C is their email address, and then their phone number, and then their mailing address, and then their birthday, and whatever information I have about them. I can upload that list as an Excel spreadsheet, a CSV file. I can upload it into Facebook, and Facebook will literally hash all those people that I just uploaded. And it will say, oh, this one's Bob, this one's Sue, this one's Jerry, and it will show my ad to those people on Facebook. It cross-references whatever information that Facebook has on file associated with all their different accounts with what information I gave. So it may not make a match on everybody, or it may look at somebody and say, oh, this person doesn't have a Facebook account, best as we can tell. So it's not even going to tell you who it matched. But it seems like this has gone away, and you're correct if you say that. This is going to be kind of a technical answer. You used to be able to do this with a personal ads account. Now you cannot do it with a personal ads account. You must do it with a business manager ads account. So real quick, let me share my screen. And this is going to be a very fast, kind of high-level explanation for you, Ken. Hoping I'm doing the right thing and answering this question the right way. Let me share my screen. So if you go to this website, business.facebook.com, just go to /create, business.facebook.com/create. It redirects you to overview, whatever. You go to create a business manager, okay? you could click create account, and it's going to ask you to name your business. What's your name? What's your email address? Now, if I do this, it's going to tell me I've maxed out. I've already got too many business managers set up. You can, each Facebook user, the Facebook user account I set up in like 2006, you can create 2 of these business managers with each of your Facebook logins. I don't think you should have more than 1 Facebook login, personally. So you create this business manager, and then when you're logged in, you click up on the main tools, and I clicked on audiences. Now, you'll have to set up an ads account and all that kind of stuff. So I've got some of that listed out in my notes. And in fact, I'll put a I'll go another step. I have a step-by-step, Ken, that shows you how to set up a business manager. Just the first like basic 8 steps. But know this, you used to be able to do this with your regular old Facebook ads manager. You can't anymore. Why? Because of the special ad category. The special ad category, it occurred last year, 2019. There was a lawsuit that got settled between the National Fair Housing Alliance and Facebook. Facebook was sued because they were essentially allowing people to market in a way that violates fair housing. And so it applied to credit, employment, and housing ads, which means for real estate folks, pretty much anything in North America that you create is going to be under the special ad category. It now applies in the US, Canada, and Mexico. So when they did that, one of the changes is they no longer allow ad accounts, personal ad accounts, to be able to create these customer list custom audiences, which I'll show you how to do in a second. However, if you're creating ads from a business manager, you still can do this, and I'll show you how. What's a personal ad account? You might be wondering. When you created a Facebook page, can I assume at some point you made a Facebook page? And when you made that Facebook page, they automatically gave you an ad account to run your ads from. That was dubbed a personal ads account. If you went to facebook.com/ads manager, it's where you would have seen it. That's the one that's now in question. So the steps are create a business manager, create an ad account within your business manager, which is basically a business ads account. And then when you do that, you can either go into the ads manager and run the campaign there and do it the way you used to do it, or just go to the audiences section. I'm in one of my ad accounts. I'm going to click create a custom audience. And these are my options, my different types of custom audiences. Custom audiences basically mean all the different ways I can retarget people. And these are the different ways I can retarget people. One option is a customer list, and it reads, create an audience by uploading a list of customers who've interacted with your business. Information in this list is hashed into anonymized code before it reaches Facebook. And it says needs in the lower right, a CSV or a TXT file. So a CSV is just in Excel. When you're done with your spreadsheet, click export to CSV. It stands for comma separated value. So I click customer list, and then it tells me, here's what it needs. It needs at least one main identifier, and then the more identifiers I give it, the greater likelihood of finding high integrity matches. So it's just going to kind of comb through my spreadsheet and figure out who's who based upon my data and their data. It's going to cross-reference. So it needs at least an email, a phone number, a first name, or a last name. I would give it, the more I can give it, the better. I can download a template, or I can just click next. And then it's going to say, do you have a customer value assigned for this? I'm going to say no, I don't have one. Click next. And then it's going to ask me to accept these terms for advertising. I'm going to accept. And then I can download the template, or I can just upload a file, which I think I might even have one handy. Let's see what I got. I do. I have a fake one right here. So just real quick, you can see it. It's first name, last name, fake phone numbers, fake emails and details and random cities and stuff. So I'm going to upload that in here. I'm going to just call it database upload. You can name it. You click next, and then it's going to map the columns. It said it mapped 3 of them. It knows this is phone number, this is email, and this is their country, their country, but it needs action on these 5. So it's like, what is this one? This one's the first name. Where's first name? This one's the last name. Whoops. So I'm going to put last name. This one here is, what is that, city? This one's the state or province. And this one's gender. And then I would click upload and create. Oh, I did it in the wrong format. So it needs to be formatted M or F. So I'll just say do not map. Do not upload that one. All right. So it found I got 7 matches. First name, last name, phone number, email, city, state, province, and country. And I can upload this. I'm not going to. And then it's going to go through and just do a match. and it may take up to 24 hours depending upon the size of your list. It's going to do a match, and then it's going to say like it found 80% or something like that. It's going to be a little bit cryptic in terms of how many it actually found, just because they don't want to violate people's privacy. Because if you uploaded a list of 20 and it found 19, it's going to be a little bit weird for the one that it didn't cross-reference. So they're trying to protect their users' privacy to some degree. They're not going to tell you who was a match and who wasn't, but you can sort of infer who was and who wasn't. So Ken, I think that's what you were asking. How do I target my clients online with Facebook's target block list? The answer is you need a business manager. You create a new ad account in that business manager. Then you create the audience in advance, just like you would have before in the old ads manager. It's just now with these special ad categories, you have to kind of circumvent, and you just upload your spreadsheet and you match the columns, and then poof, what you're saying is, hey, Facebook, when you run this ad, and bear in mind the ad, it may show up on Facebook. It could show to people on Instagram, on Messenger, in Audience Network, whatever, but it will show to them. It'll show rather to those who are in your spreadsheet. Meaning if I have past clients, a list of 100 or 200 or whatever, and I want to make sure they see my best content, I can target them accordingly with the customer list. What's also interesting, and this is just kind of bonus, you can also exclude. You can exclude based on a customer list. So technically, if I had a list of all the realtors and all the agents in my marketplace, I could actually upload that list and exclude them the same way I could include my database. Just an idea. All right, let me peek at the comments and let's see what we've got here. All right, let's go. I'm going to go with Sia first because it seems to be in keeping with the one I just answered. So Sia says, are you able to upload multiple lists for custom audience for one ad? I'm going to let that question soak in for you. Are you able to upload more than one, multiple lists, customer lists, for the custom audience for one ad? And the answer is yes. Yes, you are. You would just what you would do is, we have a couple of options. One, Sia, you could just do this in Excel. You could just compile all the names into one giant list in Excel and upload it one time as a custom audience. Or you can go through the steps of creating an audience, customer list, mapping out the columns, and do that for each one. But you can tether them together, combine multiple custom audiences in one ad. In fact, it might be easier just to show you this real quick. Let me just share my screen again. Let me go to an ads account real fast. Let me see. Ad account, ads manager. I'm gonna move fast. This is fine. I don't create ads in this ads account, but whatever. So I'm gonna, not my point, we're gonna say we wanna get traffic. That's fine. I wanna drive traffic to a website. That's my objective. I don't want campaign budget optimization on. I'm gonna set up, I haven't even set up this ad account. I don't use it, apparently. Okay, so I set up my ad account. I can name the ad set. This is what I wanted you to see right here, Sia. This is where I can exclude or create new. So like, let's just use, I think I can pull from a custom audience I might already, let me change ad accounts to one I actually use. Let's go here, leave this page. Let's start this over. I have no audiences with that ad account pre-built. So special ad, this one picked up. Let me start over. It's picking up where I left off. All right, so I'm running a housing ad. We're gonna try to drive traffic. I can name it, who cares, click continue, go to the ad set level, which is where I tell it how I want to target. I can name it, but again, who cares right now. I'm gonna go down to the audience section, and I can exclude or create. I'm gonna exclude, let's just do exclude database. Look, there's the one, I've already uploaded that one I just showed you in advance. So I could exclude that list, and I could include the same list, fake client list. I've uploaded it multiple times. So see how it kind of creates separate boxes? I could even do another one. I could also do my Facebook page engagement for the past 180 days. These are pre-built audiences I've already made, but what I want you to see, Sia, is that yes, you can combine multiple custom audiences into one ad set. See, ad set, one ad set. But think about this in terms of, let me use another analogy. Let's talk gardening for a second. Let's talk gardening. If I am gardening and I've got a really tall weed and some short flowers, what happens? And the answer is the really tall weed blocks the sunlight, steals the rain, absorbs all the rain, and it deprives the little flower of its nutrients, and the flower withers and dies, right? So think about the size of your custom audiences. if you try to like link together multiple custom audiences in one ad set, and let's say you're going to spend $10 per day to target that ad set. If you do that, but let's pretend that one of the custom audiences is 10,000 people and the other custom audience is 100 people. Well, the 10,000 people are going to steal all the budget, the same way that the big weed would steal the sunlight, would steal the water. It's going to steal all the budget. And so your little 100-person custom audience is going to get pennies compared to the big money that's going to go at the big one. So what you'd want to do in that setting is you'd either want to create multiple ad sets where you could say, I want this group to get this much money and this group to get this much money, and you force the money to be allocated according to how you want to spend it, or you just create multiple campaigns and do the same thing. See, I hope that makes sense. All right, let me see what else we got. By the way, hi, Paul. Coolest neighborhood anywhere. I love it. Let's see, Zachary. We'll wrap up with this one. Unless you guys have other questions, this will be the last one that I see in the comments right now. Zachary says, going from a small rural market, so we're talking like $200,000 price point, to $650, more of a high-end beach community, what's my best advice for how to gain branding share? What is branding share? In a higher-end market, should I change my video style for a higher-end market? So Zachary, because I know you, and I know your video style, my answer is you should not change it. Because when you post videos, like you guys should all follow Zachary Faust on Instagram. His videos are awesome. He's on TikTok. You have this really fun thing where you do like rants and you zoom in and zoom out and zoom in and zoom out. And it's super fun to watch you do it. And it's something that not anybody else could do. I think what makes you unique is the fact that you're Zachary Faust. And it's a unique value proposition. So I wouldn't try to be somebody you're not going into a higher end beach community. So as far as your videos of you and your brand, I wouldn't change anything. Now, do I change videos about how we tour properties? Maybe, maybe not. But I wouldn't sweat it. At the end of the day, you have to ask yourself the question, is the same Zachary Faust that people are buying in Delaware in the rural markets, are they going to buy that Zachary Faust on the coastal markets? My belief is, yeah, people are going to relate to you. But I don't think you win by being for nobody. I think you win when you go out there, you get a target on your back. But I think you win when you have a personality. I was having a conversation with an acquaintance not too long ago. He's a web developer. And he builds websites for different types of companies and businesses and whatnot. We were talking about real estate agents. And he was like, I wouldn't even know where to start if I were building a website for a real estate agent. I mean, it's just like, of course, IDX home search sites, right? But beyond that, I wouldn't know how to position it or how to make it look or whatever. And I said to him, we were just kind of hanging out. I said, well, pretend they're not real estate agents. Pretend they're just a personal brand. And then I was like, a light bulb went off. And he goes, oh, well, if they were a personal brand, well, then I would do this and I do this and I do this. Because at the end of the day, your brand is you, right? You're the brand. It's your face. It's your voice. It's your heart. It's your brain. That's your brand. And so I wouldn't change my videos. I would change the location of my videos to be in those marketplaces. But I would say just pick yourself up and put yourself in those marketplaces, and that's all that needs to change. Beyond that, as far as getting the branding share, let me go back to how I answered, I think it was Karen's or Lauren's, I don't remember, it was Karen or Lauren. It was Lauren's question in the very beginning, where we talked about if you're leaving one market and you're going into a brand new market, how do you take a strong position out of the gate? And the answer is you got to position yourself everywhere. Everywhere. That means like turning every stone over, whether it's expireds, FSBOs, getting involved in the board of realtors, networking groups, lining up loan officers and vendors and the folks who can do work with you there. That means doing everything. Video content, being everywhere. Google display, YouTube ads, whatever, being everywhere in those marketplaces. And that's how you get brand share by having brand share. I hope that makes sense to you. By being everywhere, being multi-channel. All right, so there's my 10 cents. Zachary, I love the question. Going once, going twice. Any more questions? I'm going to stall for the 6-second delay to get your question in. If you have one, I want to answer it. If you don't, we'll be doing this again very soon. So make sure you're keeping an eye on my Instagram stories. The way this works, if this is your first time watching, usually a day or two before I do one of these, I post stories on Instagram. It's those stories with the question sticker where you can ask me your questions in advance. That's how you get in here in these queues. Those ones were done in advance. And then otherwise, just put it in the comments and I'll give you my thoughts to it. But anyways, with all that being said, thank you guys for tuning in, for watching. I hope it was valuable for you. I look forward to the next time, and I will go back and add the show notes with links and all that kind of helpful stuff. So make sure before you leave, please tag somebody who you think should watch this video. Please give it a thumbs up or a heart. With whether you're on YouTube or Facebook, just like it, engage with it, comment, spread the news. I want to help as many people succeed in marketing, whether if they're agents or whatever kind of business they have. I want to help them succeed because right now I'm looking at the marketplace and I see tremendous opportunity. So double down, triple down, and have a wonderful day. Thanks very much, everybody. Signing off.